This is a story about you and me.
Our parents, our friends, our grandparents,
our cousins,
Our padrinos, our brothers, our sisters,
our past,
our present,
our future. This is a
Mexican family story.
They didn't come in waves, not like the States. There were no Ellis Islands here, no torch-bearing statues to greet the tired or the poor. What Mexico had was space, chaos, opportunity wrapped in danger and dirt roads. And for a certain kind of German, engineers, farmers, dreamers, cast-offs, it was perfect. The German story in Mexico isn't about conquest. It's not about glory. It's about escape, reinvention, people running from something, not toward it. War, poverty, bureaucracy, or maybe just the crushing weight of a world that no longer fit. They arrived in the 19th century, trickling in through port cities like Veracruz and Mazatlan, looking for air. Mexico was just beginning to pick up the pieces from its own wars, independence, reform, the usual revolution in a bottle. It was messy, open-ended, unsupervised. Exactly the kind of place where you could start over, or disappear. You want to talk about legacy? Forget textbooks. Look at a bottle of beer, a brass band marching down a dusty street, a name on a mail slot in Tapachula. That's where the Germans live now. Not in the headlines, just in the fabric. The first real German presence wasn't soldiers or missionaries. It was brewers, engineers, traders with thick accents and thicker ambitions. They came with tools and plans and old world discipline. Not the conquering type. More the let me build your water system type. Men who measured twice, cut once, and didn't say much after. They brought yeast and brewing knowledge, steel tanks, the idea that if you did a job right, the results would outlive you. They settled in places where things were happening. Mexico City, Monterrey, the port cities. They built railroads, designed infrastructure, and laid the groundwork for industry. But where they really left a mark was in the north and south. Extremes where outsiders could vanish and re-emerge as something new. Down south in Chiapas, the land is unforgiving, dense, wet, green in a way that feels aggressive. Most turned back. The Germans didn't. They cleared jungle, planted coffee, and made something grow in a place that seemed to resist it. Plantations sprung up, Finkenburgo, Bremen, Prussia. Names that sound out of place until you realize they've been there longer than most of the roads. They brought order to the wild, in the way only stubborn people with too much time and not enough fear can. They didn't blend in, not right away at least. German families ran the operations. Locals worked the fields, a dynamic older than empire. But over time, lines blurred, marriages happened, cultures bled together, and what remained was something in between. Go there today and it's all still humming. Blue-eyed kids speaking Spanish with a Chiapaneco accent, coffee beans dried under colonial-era roofs, German ghosts in the mist, watching over fields they once broke with their own hands. Up north it's a different story. Sinaloa, Nuevo León, Tamaulipas. The air is dry, the ground is hard, and the music sounds like a German polka that got drunk and stayed for the party. This is banda country, and no, it didn't fall from the sky. German and Czech immigrations brought the accordion, the brass, that oompa beat. Locals took it, twisted it, layered it with heartbreaking grit, and made something that sounds like a mariachi band hijacked by Bavarian cowboys. It shouldn't work, but it does. Banda, norteño, tejano, all of them carry DNA from a distant European village most people here have never heard of. In Monterrey, German families helped shape the backbone of modern industry. Factories, logistics, systems. They brought efficiency, and Mexico wrapped it in chaos. Together, they built something loud, messy, functional, like a banda song played from the back of a pickup truck. The 20th century changed everything. The world wars made being German complicated. In World War I, Mexico stayed mostly neutral. In World War II, things got trickier. There were rumors, spies, saboteurs, backroom deals. The infamous Zimmerman telegram, where Germany tried to convince Mexico to attack the US, made people nervous. By 1942, Mexico had picked a side. German influence faded into the background. Some families changed their names, others just kept their heads down. But not all the Germans in Mexico were suspect. Many were refugees, Jews escaping the horror of Europe, intellectuals blacklisted by fascism, Mennonites fleeing conscription and persecution. They came not to infiltrate, but to survive. And survive they did. Quietly, away from the spotlight, building schools, farms, businesses. Being German in Mexico didn't mean being visible. It meant being useful. In Chihuahua and Durango, the landscape flattens out like some ironed earth. Here, the Mennonites found peace. Horse-drawn carts, suspended boys speaking Low German, fields stretching to infinity. They arrived in the 1920s, given land and autonomy in exchange for isolation, and they took it. They live apart, by choice, farming, building, surviving, occasionally selling cheese to the curious or hardware to the locals. They don't make noise, but their presence is a kind of quiet rebellion, a refusal to assimilate, proof that you can be part of Mexico without being swallowed by it. Still, the borders blur. Young Mennonites grow restless. Some leave for the cities. Some bring smartphones into the colony. Culture creeps in, no matter how high the walls. You won't see a parade for German Mexicans. No flag waving, no statues. But they're there. In the music. In the buildings. In the beer. In Mexico City, you'll find German schools, libraries built by refugees, beer halls that serve lagers with names like Bohemia and Modelo Negra. The recipes were European. The execution, purely Mexican. There's a natural beauty in it. The idea that culture doesn't just migrate, it morphs, it adapts. The German story in Mexico isn't about conquering or even belonging. It's about coexisting, contributing, quietly enduring. You see it in surnames on government rosters, in breweries that date back 100 years, in banda songs that could pass for Oktoberfest anthems after 2 tequilas. If there's one truth about Mexico, it's this. It doesn't erase anything. It layers. Aztec beneath Catholic beneath corporate. Spanish next to Zapotec next to Czech. It doesn't ask you to be pure, it dares you to mix. The Germans who came here became something else, something hybrid, not quite what they were, not quite what they found, but undeniably part of the whole. Because Mexico doesn't need you to fit, it just needs you to stay. So the Germans did. And even if they're invisible now, behind the curtain, off the map, you can still hear them, in a brass band's echo, in the whistle of a train, and a last name carved into a coffee crate, fading but not forgotten. They came running, they stayed building, and somewhere along the way, they became part of the story. And in Mexico, that's as close to immortality as it gets.